you played in the dirt as a kid. Maybe you made mud pies or dug holes with a special chuck. And you probably came home with dirt on your pants and were sent inside to wash the dirt off your hands. But do you know how important that dirt really is? Dirt, or soil, is actually one of our world's most useful natural resources. Without soil, most plants could not grow. People and animals would not have food to eat. There would be no wood to build houses or cotton to make clothes. Just think about all the things you use every day that started in the soil.
Soil basically takes like thousands or millions of years to form. Soil is actually a mixture of minerals, air, water, organic matter, which may be plant residue or the animal remains.
The decayed animal matter and plants, that's called humus. And the humus is actually a really dark, organically rich soil. And therefore the plants that are in that humus feed off of those nutrients in order to, sustain themselves.
But the humus has another important job. It acts like a sponge, soaking up the rainwater to keep the soil moist. Every time it rains or snows, the water seeps into the ground. The soil is where all the extra water is stored, so plants can use it at a later time. Scientists can actually measure how much water is in the soil. They call this measurement soil moisture. You can even measure soil moisture in your own backyard. All you need is a soil moisture probe. You probably don't have one at home, but your school might. You just stick the probe into the ground and read what the meter says. The higher the number, the more moisture there is in the soil. NASA understands how important the soil is to life here on Earth, and why it is important to understand how much moisture soil holds. But how do scientists measure soil moisture for the entire Earth?
SMAP is the Soil Moisture Active Passive mission, and it is a mission that will be measuring soil moisture from space.
Most of the time, people underestimate the importance of soil moisture.
You can think of how important it is to grow crops for food. Growing crops, growing any vegetation, trees, grasses, depends on how much water there is in the soils. Soil moisture is kind of a nice indicator of drought, because drought is basically a lack of water. And where do you see that lack of water? You can see that lack of water in the soil.
By studying this one variable in the soil moisture, there are so many applications that benefit mankind.
SMAP will measure the entire planet's soil moisture every 3 days. That's definitely faster than using this. I know there are many different kinds of soil. Does all soil hold the same amount of moisture?
Different soil textures, different soil sizes have different abilities to hold the water. You can think of a texture of a soil as being how much sand you have versus how much clay you have versus how much silt you have. Those relative amounts, those relative percentages determine the texture of a soil. They affect how the water drains to the soil and how much water the soil can hold.
So different types of soil hold different amounts of water. I wonder, what other things can affect soil moisture?
Soil moisture can also be affected by things like frozen soil, when the ground is frozen.
Why is that important? Because when the ground is frozen, then a lot of what we call the hydrological cycle involving the land, the movement of water between the land and the atmosphere, for example, stops.
What we're going to be able to determine is the freeze-thaw cycle. It's a seasonal cycle of freeze-thaw. Even though it is frozen, it is still part of the soil.
You can see that studying soil moisture is very important. It can help predict when a drought may occur or if a flood is likely to happen. It can even help farmers improve their crops or help us understand more about water in the frozen ground. So as SMAP collects measurements about soil moisture, NASA will be helping make our world a better place to live.